So first of all, thank you for the honor of being your president and for us to have an opportunity to come to you today and share some of the great things that your state association is doing, not just on your behalf, but in partnership with you. I know that you guys just had a great update on what's happening from a legislative perspective and some of the tools that are available. We have Trey coming in a little bit later on as well. But I do want to share just some of the quick highlights of what happened in the last legislative session that many of you are probably aware of very well. Before I do, though, do me a favor, let's recognize the team that I get to work with every single day. First, the most valuable player on the team. He's not here, George Garrell. The second most valuable player on the team, also not here, Jeff Levine. The third most valuable player on the team, the one and only Cindy Hayden. The fourth most valuable player on the team, the one and only CEO, Margaret Grant. And as said, it's my pleasure to be your president. So with that, oh yeah, this guy over here, stop it, get over here. Your 2026 president, Chuck Bonfiglio Jr. Listen, we are blessed that you guys elected this leadership team. You can tell we have fun, we get along, we do really important work, we challenge each other, and we have the hard conversations as we're leading your state association. How do you guys feel about a $900 million tax cut in the state of Florida? That's a weak applause for $900 million. I just want to let you guys know. So thank you to our representative, our legislature, our speaker, our president, the governor, for everyone working alongside of us over the last 10 years. The last 10 years to ultimately completely eliminate the business rent tax or the sales tax on commercial leases in the state of Florida. Not only do we have, thank you, not only do we have a $900 million final cut that went through during this session, but when you think about it, you're talking about an almost $2.5 billion annual reduction of the burden of taxation on real estate in the state of Florida in perpetuity every single year. That not only repositions Florida as what we are, the strongest state in the union, in my opinion, but also that we can now attract more business into our state and we can help our small businesses and emerging businesses continue to grow by taking that burden off their plate. Additionally, you guys know we were successful in receiving additional money into Hometown Heroes housing program. Another $50 million went into that program this year. We were also successful at getting multiples of hundreds of million dollars in My Safe Florida Homes. Over $300 million also placed into the housing trust funds to deal with the ship and the sale program. And the truth of it is the list goes on. One of the things that I want to share, though, is you guys always hear about these great legislative wins that we work on in partnership with the legislature. But many times what you don't hear about are the things that never, ever see the light of day. And Janessa alluded to it at the end of her remarks, where there are a lot of bills that come up, but they never make it through committee. They never make it all the way onto the House or the Senate floor. And that's because we work proactively to try to make sure we're communicating with our legislators about the concerns that we have and the impacts of some of these bills that may be being proposed. And there's certainly a number of those this year. And so we will continue to make sure we're engaged in the conversation. I know I walked in as Bill was asking the, was it the $9 million question, whatever you want to call it, the deregulation question. Here's the way I've communicated on this, which I think is incredibly important. I truly believe that the Florida legislature is trying to do the right thing as they're looking at business across the state of Florida as a whole and deregulating industries to remove barriers to business and opportunity in the state. I really believe they are. However, I also believe that real estate being such a significant part of our economy and such a significant part of what happens in our state, that us communicating on a regular basis with the legislature about the concerns that we may have about what a certain amount of deregulation may look like could have in our industry. In addition to that, I think it's equally important that you guys understand that we take a very collaborative approach in how we deal with this, meaning the legislature is duly elected to make decisions on behalf of the over 22 million of the state of 22 million residents of the state of Florida. And our job is to make sure that we're working in partnership with them to say, here are some of our concerns, here are some of our ideas, and these are the ways that we can partner together to get to the right answer. They may not have the full right answer. We may not have the full right answer, but together our hope and our desire is that we always come together to find ultimately the best answer for all of us, and we'll continue to work on that. I want to update you guys on a few things that we've been working on. Number one, we know that we're the voice of real estate. We talk about it all the time. In fact, our official tagline is the voice of real estate in the state of Florida. But we also know that many times there are articles, blogs, news outlets, whatever it may be, that are quoting other sources. You guys will read an article and they'll say, well, XYZ said this, or so-and-so said this, or ZR or an H or whatever it may said this. So we've enhanced an initiative this year called Reclaiming the Voice of Real Estate. And so we are leaning heavy into the idea about making sure that when people are talking about real estate in the state of Florida, they're quoting one thing and one thing only, and that's you, your association, Florida Realtors, at the leading edge. In fact, when I finish up our remarks here today, I'll be popping into an office to deal with a media inquiry that came in on something that they're wanting information on. So we will continue to move into that space. You'll continue to see us pushing out more information, producing more video, more content that's white labeled so you can share it as well. You'll see us sourced and quoted in more articles and more blogs and more podcasts across the state and across the United States so that your voice is indeed the leading voice when it comes to real estate in Florida. And that's a new initiative that we've launched in 25. Many of you know that we're doing broker roundtables. We have one actually hosted here today. If you're a broker, we certainly would invite you to be a part of that. The leadership team, along with our staff, are traveling around the state and meeting with our brokers and having those important conversations about what are their concerns, what are their needs, what are the challenges that they're facing. Most of the leadership team, we function as brokers in a lot of ways, and if we're not, we're leading at a high level of our brokerage as well. And so we understand firsthand the challenges that our brokers are facing, and so we're continuing to advance that initiative with our broker roundtables. The other one I want to just touch on, then I'll ask the team to kind of go through and share some updates from their perspective as well. One of the number one barriers for individuals in America is health insurance. It's become one of the most significant costs that we all face when we look at our family's budgets and what we're dealing with. And I always say that if we don't have our health, then we really don't have much, right? And we understand that what happens is once we get hurt or sick or whatever it is, other things in our lives start to suffer as well. Our quality of life, our ability to perform, what's happening in the day-to-day of what we're doing, our health, our exercise, and our ability to actually do our job. Well, Florida Realtors has been working to create a solution to this. Many people have said that we're not able to solve the health insurance problem, and I just simply don't think that's true. Many of you know that I had the honor of serving as an elected official a number of years ago. And when I did, one of the things that I looked at was I had this rising cost of health insurance every single year for the 10,000 employees that I was responsible for. And I'm talking about going from $43 million a year in an annual spend to $68 million a year in annual spend for health insurance with a 17.5% year-over-year increase, an unsustainable level of growth. And so we had to figure out what we do, and we did, and we completely transformed the way that we delivered healthcare and health insurance and those products to our employees, so much so that over a 5-year period, we saved $100 million of taxpayer money by the decisions that we made. So one of the things that we've identified is that health insurance in America isn't broken. It's functioning exactly the way it was designed to function. And many times that's not for my benefit or for yours. Well, Florida Realtors said we have to find a solution for our members. And so we rolled up our sleeves and we created a partnership that's rolling out on August 1st for all of you with a new health plan navigator. The health plan navigator is designed so if you are in the Affordable Care Act, the ACA healthcare.gov, you can still go through the Florida Realtor Navigator and get directed to that so you can still obtain those benefits using our new tool that's actually powered by a really cool, innovative AI product in the background. In addition to that, if you're a W-2 employee, you can go in and find health insurance. If you're a 1099, you can. If you're a broker and you want to provide insurance to your company, if you're an LLC, you pick it. All of these plans are options in there, and that's something we're rolling out to make sure that we're solving as best we can in partnership with Ventor and other companies to bring the products to you guys so that you can save cost and money and time when it comes to navigating the complexities of health insurance. It's not just health insurance, though. It's other insurance products as well that you guys need every single day. Well, that's auto or injury insurance, like a Geico, not Geico, what's Aflac, thank you, like those type of things. So what we want to encourage you to do is go to floridarealtors.org. You'll see the health plan navigator there. Follow that. You can pre-register for it. It opens up on August 1st. So you can go in and say you want to be at the leading edge of what that's going to be. As you go into open enrollment this year, you'll be able to use that navigator to help you get to the product that's going to be best for you. And guys, this runs the list from ICRAs to 501s. You pick it. They're all in there for you guys to look at. And so that's one of the many solutions that we're bringing forward for you in 2025. With that, the real MVP, Chuck Pomfiglio.
You will not be getting the mic back today. So how many of y'all want to work smarter, not harder? How many of you protect your businesses? How many of you provide exceptional value to your consumers in the shifting market? Right? I think all of us. So what I challenge you is to work with our products, tools, and services and the technology that we provide to you as part of your membership. So some of you heard about for simplicity, obviously, is a big one. I challenge you to use that. You know, last year we did 63, was it forms, new forms? 64, 63. So all those available to you in Form Simplicity. The other enhancement that we just did with Form Simplicity is Sable Sign. And what I want you to understand is Sable Sign is owned by us. Okay, it's for realtors by realtors. So our team designed it internally under budget. Okay, so we're here to protect your money and to offer tools and services for your business each and every day. The next is the tech helpline. And the tech helpline provides many different services, right? So obviously, if you have a virus, you have a question, something that you're going to buy, the tech helpline provides all those services free. And what happens is, if you go to Best Buy, Geek Squad, anything online, the virus, but ChatGPT, well,
Anya.
hello? Okay. They will not do this for you. They- For 7, okay, and there's an app as well. Look at the hotline, right? How many of us do business every day? Yeah, look, you like that. How many of us write contracts hopefully every day? There's protection for you there. And lastly is we developed a innovation, okay? And that's to look at future products from 2 standpoints. One is an investment side, so that we can create non-dues revenues potentially, and then also further enhancements to our value proposition for all of you. And let me touch a little bit on the non-dues revenue part and why we're creating Sable Sign and why this team and organization is moving towards that. Is we recognize the future. We recognize that we need different ways to provide income, to provide the services and tools that you guys are used to getting from us. So that's the direction that this team is moving, and we will continue to move in the future. Thank you.
How many of you guys are working with clients today, especially sellers who still think the market and pricing is like 2 years ago, right? And Tim talked about being the voice of real estate. Is that the data helps bring credibility to that. How many of you in this room use SunStats? All right, it is a free service and tool that we have. And so again, you know, a lot of times we're finding that we can go out there and help people see the actual data, how much are listings up, how much are pendings down visually, and it's branded to you. So if you're not using that, again, something to consider, or if you're a broker, help your people consider it, because right now in a shifting market, helping people educate and self-discover is usually a more effective way than they read the paper somewhere that, as you said, you know, somebody saying something and they don't really know. Also, our research department does a phenomenal job, not only coming out with market stats, but we do a lot of reporting and studies. And so we've done it on rent control where we've had an impact. We've done different things. I know you guys are no stranger to hurricanes. It was not a club I wanted to join, but I've now joined that club. And so one of the things that's happened in my area is sellers are saying to me, should I sell? Should I wait, et cetera? And it might surprise you, but or not, that Florida Realtors actually has studied that and researched it, right? The last 9 Cat 3 hurricanes, including Ian, we saw prices recover in 6 months to be equal or greater. Giving that same kind of data to help people decide, can you wait a little bit? Is it better to do that or not? So again, we just continue to work in the data piece to say, how can we bring more information so that not only is Tim doing a great job with the voice of real estate, but that you all at the local level and the boards can be the voice of real estate in your own community. So how about that, right? Good stuff. More of that. The other thing is, how many of you are signed up or planning to come to our convention in August? All right. So we were at a meeting and I'm kind of been doing a lot with AI, people that know, and somebody said, well, how do we get more training? Guess what? They've already thought ahead. We have 4 different sections on AI. So that's just the kind of thing that there's new stuff. Look at the schedule. But again, being there is not only good for your business, but it's a great time to network and build referrals and also our governance. We have, how many of you know Marcus Lamoni from The Profit? That's our keynote speaker because this board under Tim's leadership every day wakes up thinking about and focused on your profitability and your productivity. And it was very strategic that Tim said, look, we want to have those kind of conversations and move forward those issues because our members and the real estate market is a little challenging. And so we need to make sure we can help everybody have a better business. So those are some things. We just finished Wire. How many of you were at Wire? Awesome. And Chuck's planning some cool things for next year. But again, we look at those ways to not only bring stuff to you, but connect with you. And as we said, we have the Brokers Roundtable this afternoon because this leadership team is not only here to serve, but we're here to listen and get feedback. And this is the best part about being here is that we get to be with y'all and kind of find out what's happening so that we know and don't miss that on our radar. So that's what I have to share.
Good morning. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you on behalf of Florida Realtors for you being in attendance today. You being here shows us that it matters and that you're interested, and we appreciate all of your feedback. One thing that it kind of runs the undertone of every advocacy update that all of you had, and that is our PAC. And so I want to personally thank anyone in this room who has invested in the PAC and understands how important that process is. So thank you so much and give yourselves a hand. Your region has been an absolute standout in terms of our PAC participation and productivity, so we thank you for all that. How many of you know that there's a major new condo law in place? So our general counsel and our legal team held a webinar on July 1st. A lot of you attended. Thank you so much. Did any of you want to attend and was like, oh my God, it's full? Yeah, I had the same reaction. 5,000 of you signed up the day before that actually happened. So awesome, right? Great that so many people, we did have that feedback. That webinar was recorded. It is online, floridarealtors.org. You can play that back at your convenience. Please feel free to review that. Where are my brokers and managers in the room or even attorneys? Okay, a lot of you have agents who love to pre-print forms. They love to pre-print forms. You have stacks of them on your counter. All of you, those who are doing this are going like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. Okay, you need to throw them away. You need to throw them away, especially if they have a condo writer, because if you are using the incorrect form and you do not have the correct language in your purchase contract going forward effective today, those contracts are voidable. Our legal team goes into this in depth on that webinar, but please make sure that you are telling your agents constantly, and if you have managers on the ground, that they're telling your agents constantly, new rules in place with regard to condos, you have to make sure you're complying. I'm also, where are the Florida Realtor directors in the room? We're looking so forward to welcoming you to our board of directors meeting at the end of August. Please be advised, the finance committee led by your treasurer, Jeff Levine, met late in June, and they have forwarded a budget proposal to the board of directors that will be posted online at the beginning of August. There is no proposed dues increase, and all of your products, tools, and services will remain intact. That is truly due to the hard work of the leadership team and all of the people involved in making sure that we watch everything that we're doing and that we're monitoring those levels carefully. But on behalf of Florida Realtors, as well as the entire management team, I just want to say thank you. Mr. President.
Excellent. Thank you, Margie. So before we wrap up, I do know you guys are going to hear from Fernando and Cindy, whoever on the candidate side. Are there any questions that you have? You have a unique opportunity to have a member of the leadership team here. If you have a question you want to ask, I'm glad to attempt to answer it. Yep.
That in some stats that we might be able to get a little bit of a tighter picture. We have big coral, the high acres. It's just way too big to be able to hone down on some of the, reported stats.
Yes.
Thank you.
Glad you got that covered.
Yeah, I did. I got it.
You got a good question, Bill, or just that one? That was a good one. Hey, we've been talking about, that's why we all laughed. And yes, that's something we are paying attention to right now. Any other questions? Let me wrap up by saying this. I said at the very beginning, if you heard the way I communicated with you, is we know that we don't get to do this work on our own. And truth of it is, we know we can't do it on our own. It really does take all of us in partnership with our brokers, with our local associations, with our board of directors, our committee leaders, our legislators, and all of us to make sure that we're making the right decisions to lead the prosperity of Florida and the opportunity for all of us as small businesses. Many of you know that the theme for 2025 is Champions for the American Dream. And I like telling the story because so often we hear about the American dream and we think of what? Homeownership. But for me, that's not exactly what I think of every time. When I think of the American dream, I absolutely know it's homeownership. I love that that's a part of it. But I want you to know that I truly believe at my core that you are the embodiment of the American dream. Entrepreneurship, small business enterprise, the ability every single day in this great country to say that we will get up, we will work hard, and we will create our own destiny. And that's exactly what Realtors do. We're the largest business entity in the state of Florida. And that's not a brag point for us. That's a brag point for you because you guys truly are the living out in the embodiment of the American dream. And we view our role as your partners at the state association to be the champions for you. And so know that every single day, as Cindy said, when we wake up and we're making decisions and we're communicating and collaborating, our constant communication is it going to support our members? Is it going to make them more productive? And is it going to help them be more profitable? And if we know we can achieve that, then we know we're doing our job, we're doing it right, and we're doing it well. And if we don't, then we challenge each other. And we say, how do we improve and how do we bring in the right products, tools, and services to ensure we're doing that? Know that we're honored to be able to serve in these roles. We're honored to be your servant leaders. If you need anything, reach out anytime. Chuck and I have said year after year after year, we believe in two key things. It's accessibility and accountability. You can have all of our cell phone numbers, follow us on social media, connect with us anytime. If there's something that we can do for you, let us know. We love you, we appreciate you, and we're honored to serve you. Thank you very much. You guys come here real quick. My favorite, Florida State. You don't get the microphone. I do want to say this. The leadership team is blessed to have district vice presidents. We represent a 5-member leadership team, but the truth of it is we have 13 extensions of us all across the state of Florida, and those are our district vice presidents. And so we wouldn't be able to do the things we do if we didn't have the extension of those as well. So please do me a favor and extend a round of applause and thanks to your district vice president for her work as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we're going to have our candidates come up and we're going to do kind of speed dating because we have half an hour and a lot of questions. Before you leave, President Vice Chair, kudos to Tom for responding quickly to a lovely article from Wall Street Journal. Yeah. So we took a page from your book and did a great job because it affects us all, not just Cape Coral, but kudos to them. Thank you. Okay, now.
Fernanda, we can't have long answers.
I know. No long answers. Okay.
Yes.
Before we start, I would like to introduce Mark Ledbetter. Mark is your DVP for 2026, or he is a candidate for DVP for 2026, unopposed. He's amazing. He's from Bonita Springs, but I would like him to come up and just say hi and give a 2-second, who are you and why are you running? Yeah. Woo!
Well, good morning. As PJ said, my name is Mark Ledbetter. I'm past president of the Bonita Springs Board. Some of you know me, not everybody knows me, but I've been around real estate for over 20 years. I started really when I was old. No, I'm just kidding. That being said, the opportunity for me to be the district vice president, I don't take lightly. So I am very excited about the opportunity to be able to communicate, to represent you as to the leadership, the executive team. So I look forward to getting to talk and at the state level. So I really appreciate it and I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, Mark, part of your job is going to be moderating things like this. So we're going to start off and Actually, let's introduce you. Can you just do like a 1 minute? I mean, we know you, but could you just give us a little background? Where are you from? Are you a broker, salesperson, whatever?
Sure. Cindy Hayden, I am a broker associate from the Tampa Bay area, Madeira Beach, and I've been in real estate 20 years this year and been volunteering at the association since about 2012 when Bigger Waters happened.
Fantastic. Fernando is a co-DVP, D4, which is my name. And he's what I call boss because he was appointed our chair as our DVP. So congratulations on that. Give a little bit more extensive background of where you're coming from.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us here with you today. My name is Fernando Arencibia Jr. I'm a broker owner of Avanti Way Commercial, 100% commercial brokerage. I also co-own a franchise within the Avanti Way Realty system called Avanti Way Edge. So I'm well-versed in both the commercial and the residential side of the world. I'm from Miami, Florida. And I've been involved in leadership for as long as somebody volunteered me to be involved. And, it just got into my veins, like many of you, as I see of some familiar faces. Here, you understand what that's like. And, happy to be here and happy to be of service.
And what's your role in NAR?
My role in NAR, I'm the chair of the Commercial Federal Policy Committee currently at NAR.
Yep.
I'm vice chair of the Regulatory Issues Forum at NAR.
And then chair of land use. We got something going on here. Okay, great. Okay, we have, 10.5 questions.
Mhm.
Let's be abbreviated.
Listen, cut it into 5 and
Ready.
it'll be
Okay.
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
See you do this. This will be fun.
I can do that. I can cut it into 5. I'm going to switch you up right away. How would you describe your leadership style and how do you see it benefiting our members and the association as a whole?
Go ahead.
You all caught that, right? It wasn't go ahead, it was go ahead.
Voluntold.
I'll tell you, I'm a big believer that big things don't happen in a vacuum and they don't happen in 1 year and they don't happen by the efforts of only one person. It has to be a collaborative effort. And the reality is that if you look at your experience in leadership at a local, state, or national level, some of the bigger things are things that maybe got started when you had an opportunity to affect change, but somebody else picked up that baton and carry it through because there are some overwhelmingly big things that are important to our business that require multiple years of efforts, right? And the reality is that we are part of an organization that has been around for over a century, right? And so that means that there were a lot of leaders that stepped up to carry that baton. So I'm a big believer in that you gotta be inclusive. You gotta make sure that people buy into the vision and that there is collaboration on the way there and people take ownership of that idea, right? Because they feel that it's impactful. And the other thing is to understand that that also means that it is not your responsibility to look for where you could take credit. Your responsibility is just to guide the association forward and to make sure that there are other people that you bring along that are going to carry that through. And so that would be the way that I would describe my leadership style. That is the quickest I've answered any question. So back to you, Cindy.
Yeah. So I moved every 2 years growing up, and what that did for me was have to refit in, set up. And for me, I've realized as an adult that I have a heart for including people and having a big tent and bringing in everybody's opinion, and that it's about the work we do and about the members. So my leadership style is very much grassroots, hearing from people and following up. And I would say the other piece is being willing to take on tough, big issues, knowing that they're not going to get done in 1 year, but knowing that you do the work, you have the tough conversations, and you move the ball forward. One example is risk rating 2.0. Another is the look back periods. There's things that you see and you educate people and you include them, and then together what we're able to accomplish. And as you said, prepare the next people behind you. So I would say collaborative is a big part for me, but I also think it's being willing to not care about who gets credit, but want to see the work done and do the work to lay the foundation to keep moving it forward.
Well, excellent. All right, Fernando, I'm going to really challenge you. One sentence here. What's the most important responsibility of someone serving at the officer level? Just one. What's the most important?
To listen,
To
We-
listen.
then-
Two words. Wow.
to understand that every market is very specific and that we are living in an ecosystem, all of us as business owners and as brokers. But what happens in one part of the state often can affect what happens in other parts of the state. And so even though our markets are very unique in some ways, and our experiences are unique within that marketplace, what happens in one place, like a tributary, connects to other aspects. And a perfect example is what happened a few years ago when in the Orlando area, there was conversation about having rent control, right? And how that has the potential of reverberating and having the ability to be plugged in with the local associations, knowing what's happening at the local level is incredibly impactful to our ability to respond and to act on behalf of all Florida realtors. So I would say listening is, one of the most important things. If you really think about it as a member, think about the first time that you had any interaction with an association. Your interaction with NAR and Florida Realtors was not at Florida Realtors and was not at NAR. It was at the local level. That's when you found out, oh, we're part of a bigger group that has a statewide presence and a national presence. But in reality, the way that our members interact with Florida, the way that our members interact with NAR, they interact with them through the local level. And so it's incredibly important to be supportive of the local association and to listen to what is happening to the member locally, because that's going to be that has to be the guiding force behind whatever vision you have for your association and whatever, things of importance you want to accomplish.
Cindy,
Cindy, one sentence.
not going to say anything. I'm zipping it.
I mean, obviously listening, but I do believe that our job is to be a servant leader, and it's not about us. It's about the members in the organization. And so I think it's being someone who is constantly curious and listening to what's coming from our associations. Again, just look back periods all happen because of Kevin Besser and asking a question, what did you learn we need to know? And I think it's that listening, but it's also staying curious and then being willing to do the work. So I think that it's not just listening, but I think you have to be someone that is willing to take action. And let's face it, the easy problems I mean, again, a new license plate, we can design that. That's a whole solving flood insurance or CP. These are big issues, and we have to then get creative and get the best people involved to move that stuff forward. And so I think the best characteristic is that listening, collaborating, and not having an ego. It's about service.
Mm-hmm. And you both have brought, I don't want to say you have all like-minded people in your groups. You bring different and diverse opinions to groups that you like PAGs and stuff like that. That is one thing that I'm really impressed with what you've done. All right, the next question kind of tandems this, but it's important because it also relates to re-engaging. But how do you ensure you're representing the voices and concerns of members across all regions of the state? Cindy.
I could speak to that. Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's a commitment to show up for our members. We've done these district meetings, and your people going into office next year, none of us are contested. And again, if the passion wasn't there, we've been on the road for 6 weeks. Every day I come home and do the laundry and head out again, but it's because I want to be with the members that elected us. I want to hear and I want to be part of that conversation. I also think that I continue to stay involved in our institutes and societies like Women's Council, like RRC, that it's not just at Florida Realtors, there's all these other aspects and talking about CCIM and others. So I do think that it is putting yourself in the room where the conversations are having. And like Tim said, being the kind of people that are accessible and willing to show up and sometimes people just want to hear the happy side. And I mean, trust me, I like the happy side. Tim says, if you're not happy, call him. But, we're all willing to like have that conversation, right? And I do think that you have to, because in that honesty and that conversation, that's where we start building trust. If you can't tell somebody the tough stuff, how do you like come back and really get through the tough stuff? So that's what I would say.
Excellent. Fernando?
We have to foster an environment in which everyone who's involved at a local, state, or national level in the board, that they feel not only the freedom to express themselves and to say when something is happening in their marketplace and how it is affecting them, but that they understand the big responsibility that carries. And what that means is that if you look at all of our membership as a mosaic, and if you look at your own personal experiences, how you entered the industry, right? We all have a bit of a different approach. Some of us come from another industry or another profession altogether. Some of us are second generation, realtors. But then within the industry, some of us work for a big multinational company. Some of us work at a boutique firm. Some of us are brokers. So what happens in our business, right, is sometimes very personal to what is happening to us. However, when you come to a room like this and you speak up and say, this is happening to me, you have to understand that you're representing a percentage of over 240,000 members throughout the state of Florida, right? And having that voice carries an incredible amount of responsibility, but understand that you are not alone. If you're quiet in those meetings, then you kind of silence a percentage of that membership, right? And so our job as in LT is to make sure that we encourage that conversation, number one. Number two, to take it seriously and to look at ways in which we as a state can facilitate a resolution or address that problem, that issue, that concern. And so, I think that is a big part of staying plugged in. But I'll tell you a quick story. I have two daughters. My oldest daughter is very outgoing, a little bit like myself. My youngest daughter is an introvert, right? And I remember during the pandemic when they went into the Zoom classes, I said, "Oh, this must be great for you because, you're not in a class, you feel," and she says, "No, it's the opposite. This is worse because whenever I'm asked a question, now I'm the only one at the center of the screen and everybody's eyeballs are on me." And that's a perspective that I didn't even consider, right? And so there are a lot of people that are introverts that are great leaders, and we just have to make sure that we foster the ability for them to share, this is what's happening to me, in a way where they can, be effective and feel comfortable. So, just little things that you find along the way, curiously. There you go, Cindy, look.
I'm not
I
gonna-
got her down. She's not going to get 5 questions.
Zero chance. All right, this one here, I think everybody might have different opinion or maybe the same, I don't know, but it's a really important question. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our association right now, and how would you approach it as a leader?
Go
Succinctly.
ahead. Are you going to say,
Okay,
go ahead?
succinctly. Go
No.
ahead. I'm kidding.
So I think there are always challenges, which are at the end of the day, opportunities, right? I mean, I look at the lawsuit and the opportunities it's created today with buyers. If I were to think about it though, from a bigger picture, and there's things like clear cooperation and other lawsuits and other battles, but I think that two things. One is technology is moving so quickly with AI, and what we've done in 50 years is getting compressed in 5. And where that comes into our members is what the lawsuit taught me was that myself, I'd been so busy as many realtors telling them what we do and how we do it, and I had forgotten to tell our story about why we were doing it. And so in that process, most realtors I know that are in this business, they care deeply and they serve their clients to the, nth degree, but somehow we're not conveying it and helping that story get told. And in that absence, I think some of the challenges are people start to think, Gary Vee says convenience is our biggest enemy, right? When you go to AI now and you say, who's the best realtor? It serves up 5 people. If they say pizza and you don't have a brand, like they're going to go to whoever's closest or whatever they're doing. So how do we stay relevant? I do think the two are connected. I do think it's important. And I think that we are going to hopefully learn to use those tools and help our members use for the 80% of our job that kind of is not fun and not necessarily what people give us credit for. I had an opportunity to sit with someone recently, and then we were at a conference taking notes, and this person was going to write an article, and they get paid to do marketing. And I said, nobody is paying you to write notes. Like, they don't value that. They're paying you to hear this and articulate what's the relevant points. So that piece now, something like Otter AI can do, compress it, and then you add your value. And I think that's where we're going to have to look for that opportunity. Because when you look at places like, just take Rocket Mortgage for an example, Rocket Mortgage to Redfin to Mr. Cooper are building an end-to-end. And one of my houses has a Rocket Mortgage, and every day they text me and solicit me. And on a day, if I was a consumer and I think, oh, I want to get a home equity, or I want to think about whatever, they're already putting up there, I can do this for less, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. So I think we have different challenges, but at the end of the day, the way that we're not disrupted is take technology to take the 80% that's not getting really value, use that 20%. And if we are communicating better and having connection with our clients, then we win. It's that when other ways we're not doing that and somebody else is there at the right time. And so it's telling our story, it's staying connected, and it's better communication, in my opinion, is the opportunity that we all have to continue to share what we do, because really we're not replaceable. The challenge is, though, people don't always know it till after the fact, right? People make a mistake on the buy side and they don't know it till they go to sell, right? We've all been there. And they're like, oh, I didn't think the realtor did anything but open a door. And yet on the backside, it's like, oh, you have a settlement crack. That's not going to be so good for you. Like, that's the wrong time to figure it out. So that's, again, something I think people may not be thinking about, that I do think is something we'll be facing.
So relevance? Okay.
For me, it's mindset and focus, right? I mean, we're here for the members. We all run businesses, and we have to take into account that some of this noise, right? It's going to continue. There's going to be still conversation about any future potential lawsuits. There are going to be conversations about disruptors that are coming into our industry, whether it is through the enormous amount of money that has been poured in to disrupt the way that we do business and to remove the realtor from the center of the transaction. But the reality is that in between all of that noise, right, all of that fog of war, for lack of a better term, what happens is sometimes our members lose direction and they lose focus, right? And I think one of the most important things is to understand that we have to be comfortable with the uncomfortableness of what has happened over the last few years. And how do we move forward is by focusing on the things that we know are the most important and are going to move our business forward, which is, how are we servicing our clients? How are we providing value, and how we're moving forward? People are not making decisions as a consumer based on a lawsuit or changes in the rules or any of that other stuff. You guys, you and I both know that really is a matter of what is happening in the marketplace, because people have to make decisions, and real estate is at the center of those decisions that they need to make. And they need to know that, they are working with someone that they can trust to guide them through it. This is an amazing industry, and part of the reason why all of us can come into this industry and gain market share from early on is because people want to do business with people they know and trust. That is number one, the most important thing. And so, I think our most important thing, not only now, but over the next 5 years, is to make sure that we refocus everybody's attention to work on the basics, on the things that are important, that are going to focus on your business. There are plenty of us, including all of you here in this room, that are paying attention to what's happening to the lawsuits, what's happening to disruption. But at the end of the day, if we focus on the value that we add to our businesses, I think that has to be at the center of where we focus our attention, and making sure that we provide our members that level of guidance. So again, mindset and focus is our biggest challenges, but it's also our biggest opportunity.
Great answers. If you could champion if you could champion one initiative or idea during your term, what would it be and why? Fernando, short and sweet.
Sure. To be data-driven in every decision that is made, and to make sure that this member is at the center of those decisions. Oftentimes what I find in organizations is decisions are made sometimes because that's just the way that we've always done it. What data-driven allows you to do is to kind of test whether we're doing things that are actually moving the needle and that are actually improving the opportunities for our members. And so, it's very important that in every decision that this organization does, that we look to the data to see where we could be most impactful, and we need to follow that, right? And making sure that the center, at the center of all of this is the member, not only members like yourselves that are engaged, involved, you show up, you go to conferences, you aim to learn, but even the members that never actually walk through the door to, they interact with our tools and services, but they never walk through the door in as far as a convention or a conference, right? But they are interacting with the public every day. They're working, they're doing what they're supposed to do. And so, it's important to have that member in mind when we make all of our decisions as well.
I know.
I know. I love it.
A lot of progress in insurance, so I'm not going to say that right now. I mean, again, we're on that track. But seriously, for me, I think that opportunity, which dovetails what you're saying with data, is also, again, is technology, but it's not just for our members, but our association. It's how do we, again, operate more efficiently, take all the data we have and make it more usable. And what's possible today is so much different than what it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And so I think as we start to look at even the ability that we've talked about, back there talking about SunStats, right? Like those conversations about used to be, you'd have to build, you had to database administrator, this, that, and the other. I'm imagining a world where there's a large language model and whatever I want, I ask it and I pull it up for that specific neighborhood, So I know those things are there and coming, and it's part of it is how do we do it better? And then how do we convey to our members how to do that better? So at the end of the day, though, I also am humble enough to know that every day there's some new challenge. And so I don't have an agenda. I didn't have an agenda. I just knew that I've believed that the next 5 years would determine if we were going to be around for 100 more or not. And so whatever is the big challenge or opportunity that comes, I will promise you that I'll lean into it with our team to do whatever it takes to ensure that longevity and making sure that our members are profitable and productive. So that's where I would say.
Before I go to the last question, does anybody else have a question? Oh, Dominic, come on up.
Ooh, I like it.
Be kind, Dominic.
To trustee chairperson.
This question is for Cindy. Cindy, you're running for treasurer. What are your qualifications and what do you see in 2026 as a challenge for the financial situation for Florida Realtors? Do you see any challenges in 2026 for Florida Realtors?
Sure. Thank you for that, Dominic. Well, we have staff that's an expert and, so again, I'm smart enough to hire people for what I do. So, learning it with the team and all of that, as far as credentials, I've been treasurer of a local board, which is a mega association. I have an S Corp. I do those kind of things. But at the end of the day, you're not hiring me to be the CPA. So what I hope that I can do in that is be able to talk with the staff, with the team, and look for what are the trends, what are the opportunities. As you know, on the finance committee, I think that we all are aware that if membership would take a significant change, it would impact our budget and our financial position. And so we're talking about what would that look like? Where would those things go? So far to date, that's not been the case. We're projecting a 4% reduction. And again, so far the numbers are actually bearing out. I think as time goes on, one of the things that'll be interesting to see where the members stand, and this goes kind of across MLSs, local associations, all associations, is there are times when we have offered products, tools, and services, and we've covered the whole fee, but maybe only 20% of our members use them, right? But we're covering the fee because the way they do them is they want every single person. And so there might be a time where maybe our organization with our strength maybe negotiates a buying power where people that want those products, tools, and services could get it for half price. So in effect, you're almost getting your dues for free, and the people that want it and value it could do it, and then other people that aren't using it wouldn't. But I do think that we may have to look at different ways of doing things just for the fiscal responsibility as we go. We're lucky that we've come out of some really strong years, and we've had a lot of money come in that has allowed us to do a lot of things. But I do think that we're going to constantly have to be looking at that. And just, I think what you heard from this team is that at the core, we're looking at saying what is going to impact our members' productivity and profitability. And, you know, if that means scaling back things for a period of time, if that means looking at how we do things, you know, we're up for those conversations. And it's not, you know, as treasurer, it's not a me decision, though I'll lead that finance committee. There's smart people like you and others that are way more experienced that bring and have the responsibility to also point out things that might be challenges that are like, hey, we need to go into this. And just like we talked about this year, maybe there's opportunities to have work groups or people dig in to sort of figure out like where are those opportunities, you know, that we could do. So we are hopeful, but, you know, I got into the business in 2005. So I, you know, survived in a down market, but I know what it is to pinch pennies and to look and be really realistic and say, okay, what do we need? And if it means we have to trim some things, like we're up for the task, you know? I mean, so I think a big part of us will be communicating to the members, right? Because the problem is, it's just like Obamacare. If somebody thinks it's free and you take something away, then you get blowback from people at the perception, except when you look at it, you go, not everybody's even using stuff. So I think those are things we're going to have to address as we go forward, right? And I appreciate your knowledge and expertise in sharing that and being, you know, an equal voice at the table to convey those. And I think all of us together, you know, we'll make those decisions.
Who else but Dominic on stuff because he is fiscal conservative, which I love.
You want honest people.
I know.
Listen, if we're going to survive,
We want him on that wall.
We don't need the gambler.
he said, like Dominic, yes. I'm already saying to Chuck, they're really smart people on that committee for me.
All right, I'm going to get one more question and then I think I win a prize for getting the most questions in for DVP.
Yeah, you do.
And it's not one of these, it's my question. Okay. So what one thing, Fernando, succinctly, would you say about yourself that people might not know? Like what, I don't care if you have a French bulldog, that's interesting to some of us, but what would it be?
Wow. That's hard to say only because I kind of put myself out there. I'll tell you this, you know, and you know, over the last few years, I've kind of fallen in love again with the guitar. So I've been, you know, it's been my refuge. It's been a place where, number one, I'm learning a totally set of skills. Another part of my brain is working. And I'm really, really enjoying that. And I, for a long time, lost the essence, or I guess I stopped valuing having you know, a hobby, right? That had nothing to do with business, that had nothing to do with leadership, and that it was, you know, totally something for me that feeds my soul. So I would say that if I can say anything to you guys is, if you don't have that in your life, or if you had something, you know, when you were younger and you know, and something is calling you to reconnect with it, definitely do it. It's going to make you better in your personal and your professional life. So
That's fantastic. Cindy? Seriously?
I was thinking the seal fit experience, but now I actually when I had my kids took 5 years off to be a stay-at-home mom, but I started 5 businesses because I couldn't stay at home. And but actually had a passion. I have a very creative side, so I actually started a wine glass painting business, and I actually taught painting and I painted murals. And I love making things. It was actually called functional art, but I love making things or doing things for people that they couldn't, like, that are more personal. It doesn't have price, but it's like a mix. So if you'd seen, like with the AI now, I've made for my clients we made a custom bedtime story for their 2 granddaughters.
Love it.
And we took AI and Gamma and we put their pictures in, and it's this story from the grandparents. So I love the creative side of just doing something for people that is heartfelt.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad I thought of that question. So it's very cool. So I think we're in good hands. These guys are super smart. They're holistic. Give them a round of applause. Sure you vote for them.
thank you.
Thank you.